Hey everybody, welcome back to a very special episode of the Amateur Hour podcast. It is the first time that the guest I have on the show is not sitting next to me. We are recording through Skype for this episode for the very first time, and that means that Deshaun gets to be on the show again. How's it going, Deshaun?
I'm good. How you doing, Jacob? Very excited to obviously communicate with you all the way from Mississauga.
Yeah,
We're to get into the Houston
it's
Astros, the
tough out here
cheating
in
scandal.
Sudbury. It's tough out here in Sudbury. But yeah, we're like Deshaun said, we're gonna be talking about the Houston Astros scandal that has been heating up quite a bit lately. It's actually getting to a very ridiculous point. So we'll just get right into it. Deshaun, do you want to lead us off with this one?
Yeah, for sure. Well, obviously we've done a podcast on what the cheating scandal was and what happened, and basically it's just now gotten worse. It first started when pictures of Josh Reddick, who is the right fielder for the Houston Astros. He was also on the team when they won the World Series. But it all started when they showed like a picture, and he had what people are saying was confetti taped to his shirt, and like you can like kind of see, and it was just like stuck there. Um, Basically, when that happened, that picture, the exact same day the MLB came out and handed out one of the harshest like penalties they've ever given out. So they fined the Astros $5 million. They suspended their AJ Hinch, who is their bench um, manager, and then they also suspended the GM of the team. And basically, there's been a huge fallout in baseball. Everyone basically from that team is now tainted, and they should be. Um, but they fined them $5 million. They took away first and second round draft picks for the next couple of years, and from the fallout of that, Alex Cora, who was on that team as an assistant coach, he had to part ways with Boston. He also won a championship with Boston the very next year, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So right after winning with the Astros, he went to, and he was like the first ever like rookie manager to kind of win. Um,
Oh,
so then that
he got some
happens.
cheating tips off the Astros, I guess.
Yeah, he definitely like something sketchy of how they just went and they won the World Series the very next year. Um, and the thing that like kind of bugs me is there's a lot of moving pieces to this. Like I've been communicating with you obviously a lot on it, and like one, I feel awful for the LA Dodgers because they made it to the World Series twice and lost to both of those teams who both have cheated. Like that's like the worst position to be in. Um But yeah, so Alex Cora, he stepped down. Carlos Beltran, who never managed a game for the Mets yet, which is like the most Mets thing ever, he had to step down. Um, he thought he's like, oh, like I'll distance myself from the issue. The Mets were like, no, like you probably were part of the issue. He was a veteran player, wasn't playing too much when he was on the Astros, but he did win that World Series and was around the organization. There's Brian McCann, who's a very formidable catcher. He went to the Yankees as well, and before going to Houston, and then before playing for Atlanta this year and retiring. But he was a big part, and we were looking at their numbers,
Like the
and
the
basically
player's
there's
batting stats, yeah.
exactly the players' batting averages and their home runs and everything, and it's crazy how much better these guys are when
When it,
they're at home compared to the road.
yeah, it's actually like disgusting to kind of look at how
Uh,
how good they were at home compared to how awful they were when they played away from home. It's really bad to look at.
um, the thing for me, and I think the in that 2017 series, Jose Altuve won MVP over Aaron Judge, who was the runner-up in his rookie season.
Mm-hmm.
But Jose Altuve led the league in hits. He was hitting 30 home runs. And the thing about Jose Altuve, and if you guys don't know him, he's 5'6". So 5'6" dudes don't really hit um, home runs, especially home runs that essentially 30 home runs a year.
Yeah, they hit home runs.
That's
It's just they don't hit home runs that consistently like he had been doing.
yeah. So it's it was kind of like, where did this stem from? And now I feel like Jose Altuve only elevated himself from a contact hitter to now power hitter MVP level player because of the cheating.
It
Uh,
certainly seems that way based on the stats we're seeing. Like, I'll pull up Jose Altuve's World Series stats from 2017. When he played at home, he had a 472 batting average, 513 on base percentage, 6 home runs, 12 RBI, 17 hits. But when he played away from home in that World Series, 143 batting average, 268 on base percentage, 1 home run, 2 RBI, 5 hits. So it's clear that when he had to play away from home, and I know, there could be the argument that just playing away from home results in home field advantage, right? You play a little bit better at home, but the degree that he dropped is incredible, and he's not the only one. You could say the same about Correa, Bregman, McCann, Gurriel, and Gaddis. All of them were significantly worse when they played away from home, especially Altuve and especially McCann and Correa.
and the thing is like the Astros already like those players, and I'll say this straight up, like any team would love to have the crop of players that the Astros have.
Oh yeah,
Like they they have like they are already very very good hitters. They would already be along the All Star to MVP type level. Um, but the fact that they had to go above, and then yesterday there was an allegation that they were wearing buzzers to help them. So if anyone doesn't know, the Houston Astros were cheating. They're using cameras from right field to look in on the catcher and then bang on a garbage can.
yeah.
Which like you don't really notice like during a game.
They would bang on a
But
garbage can to signal an off speed pitch. So if
exactly.
that player at bat heard the garbage can, they knew an off speed pitch was coming.
But it got even worse when there was a video circulation of Jose Altuve hitting a walk-off home run against Aroldis Chapman. And whoever doesn't know, Chapman is a pitcher. He's the hardest throwing pitcher in the league. He throws 100 basically every single
Oh, you can
pitch.
throw 105.
Yeah, I think I was with you when we watched this happen. But literally, first pitch, Jose Altuve. See you later.
Yeah,
Astros
and
series.
that's ALCS Game 6 of this year. This.
Yeah, and basically, like Chapman was like he was just struck because he's like, how did he hit that pitch off me? Like it's you can't really look for a guy that only throws fast and like throws everywhere. You don't really know. Like it's very hard to dial in on a certain type of pitch, just when it's that fast and you're that small of a dude. Like, but he was running around the bases, and as he's coming home, he's grabbing his jersey and saying, "Don't rip off my jersey. Don't rip off my jersey." And he was pretty adamant about it. And in the video, you can see something like on his left chest kind of sticking out. And he's running. He goes home. He celebrates for about a minute and a half and then goes to the dugout, which is really odd, and then changes into a shirt.
Yeah.
And
It's really weird that he went into the dugout immediately after such like a monumental home run, getting him to the World Series. Goes to the dugout, changes, and comes back out. But that video, it's been around Twitter. I'm sure you can go find it if you haven't seen it. I'd be surprised if you haven't seen it. Yeah, you can just look up the Altuve walk-off home run in Game 6, and I'm sure something like that will come up. But he is literally, he just hit one of the biggest home runs in MLB history, a walk-off in a championship series. And he doesn't even look happy. He just looks worried, like, do not rip off my jersey. He literally walks into the crowd, grabbing his jersey so that nobody pulls it off. It's very clear, and like you said, there is a picture circulating where you can kind of see the outline of the buzzer underneath his jersey. So
and I think what makes it worse is that like in celebrations in that moment, like everyone gets their jersey torn off, and the fact like even if someone's like, hey, like don't tear off my jersey, you still did it anyways.
yeah,
And the fact that they didn't do it means they like kind of knew like, yo, this guy's like serious, like absolutely like don't kind of take off my jersey. And like
That's just one piece of evidence that we have, though. There's a
that's
plethora of things that we've seen, kind of insinuating that they've been cheating for a long time.
I agree, and I I don't know what it is with the why it's the Astros that were getting caught. There's definitely other teams that are cheating. It's not to this extent. Like in baseball, it's a sport where like, and I do it at my level, and I only play double A, and it's just Mississauga league. But if you are standing on second and you can see what the catcher is calling, you'll give him a nod, or you'll tap your helmet to kind of let him know what type of pitch is coming. But to the extent of having a buzzer or a garbage can, I think is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
there's a clip from their documentary that came out, a documentary about the Astros, where they kind of show the camera walks past their setup where they spy on the other team's signs. So you can literally see the garbage can beside a table with a monitor, which definitely is portraying and showing the catcher's sign. So that there's a guy sitting there watching the game, watching the sign through that camera in right field, like you were talking about. Every time he sees an off-speed pitch, he bangs on the garbage can, or he'll buzz. I think it was Beltran and Altuve who had the buzzers, from what we've seen.
Yeah.
I think it was Beltran's niece who ratted on him on Twitter about it.
So here's the thing, and I was gonna bring that up as well. Is basically someone who alleges to be Beltran's niece comes up with pretty relevant information to what's going on, and I believe it's 100% true, because obviously the Houston Astros are cheaters and liars, so it's hard to believe them. But Beltran then came out and said, "Oh, I don't know who that is in my family. Like, I've never seen this person before."
Yeah.
Like, basically trying to um, dismiss what had been going on.
Yeah.
And to me, even if that person is related to him or not, what she said was 100% true. Like, everything when it comes down to the confetti and the buzzers, I just think it's crazy. And to me personally, I will never look at the Houston Astros and be like, oh, they're World Series champions anymore, because that's tainted forever. Like that.
Yeah, I agree. We've seen in the last decade some minor forms of cheating. The big case that sticks out to me is, I think it was 2013 when the Louisville men's college basketball team got caught paying their players, and they won the NCAA championship that year, but were stripped of that championship. So that, I think, listen, if you're a guy who loves baseball and all you care about is the World Series, and you can cheat and just get a 1-year ban, come right back, get back into the game, why wouldn't you do that to get the biggest prize in all of baseball, the World Series championship? Why would you not?
I agree.
There's no way that anybody's ever going to learn their lesson about this if you don't strip the championship. And I think that's what needs to be done. I think the 1-year bans aren't going to do anything. I think that action needs to be taken on players, because there's been nothing about the players yet. Beltran was a player, but he's a manager now. That's why he got fired from his Mets job.
Exactly. And I agree with you. There hasn't been any championship that's been stripped from a franchise, I believe, across the 4 North American teams, for any reason whatsoever.
You mean the 4 North American sports leagues?
Yes. So
yeah.
NFL, NBA, NHL, and MLB. But when it comes to it, I agree that it should be, no one won because of this. I don't think the Dodgers automatically win it, because you can, argue that maybe an AL team wins the championship if that doesn't happen. So I just think it's a year where literally no one should win the championship. If you look back on the books, no one wins it. It's just, that's what should happen, because the Houston, you can't cheat to this extent and you get a championship. You basically get to it took them almost 3 years before they even found out, you know what I mean? They made the ALCS against the Boston Red Sox, where they lost, and then Boston obviously probably cheated as well and then won.
This reminds me a lot about when Ryan Braun got caught using PEDs the year he won the MVP. And Matt Kemp, who was the runner-up for MVP that year, was distraught when he found out because nobody won MVP that year. But Matt Kemp was like, "Well, I would have won MVP had Ryan Braun not used PEDs." So I feel for the guy. He got cheated
Yeah,
out of an MVP. And, CC Sabathia came out this week, how upset he was because, look, if the Yankees get through that series against a team cheating like the Houston Astros, they're probably beating the Washington Nationals. And
I agree with that.
you would have said the Astros should have beaten the Nationals, but the Yankees will certainly feel like that was their World Series, especially after seeing what they've seen with Altuve and the buzzer. Clearly had something under his shirt if he's hiding it on a walk-off home run to end the series.
I 100% agree, and I think the Yankees would have been the the World Series winner. I don't think the Yankees lose 4 games at home. I don't know how the Astros beat them. They lose every single game at home. That blows my mind.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. They didn't win one home
Like
game in the World
they didn't
Series.
win one home game in the World Series. The road team won every single game in the World Series. I don't know how that happens, but ball doesn't lie. Um, but no, like when it comes to it, like a lot of players have now gone and said their piece. Trevor Bauer's been adamant because he's faced him in the postseason 2017, 2018 with the Cleveland Indians, and they got eliminated by the Astros both times. Um, Mike Clevenger was like, I don't know how those guys can look anybody in the face. He also is a pitcher for Cleveland. Marcus Stroman, we've obviously,
Yeah.
same conference.
Yep.
He's said his piece as well. Um, Mets players have said their piece. Sabathia. And then the Dodgers, like Alex Wood, basically said, I would rather face someone on steroids than someone knowing what pitch I'm going to throw to them. Because steroids is such a huge thing in MLB. Like, you literally get suspended 80 games for your first testing positive of steroids as a player. So that's like taken so seriously. So I'm trying to understand, like, why is it that these guys can literally use buzzers and signs and be able to play opening day next year, but someone who juices and still has to hit, like, still has to know what pitch is coming, still has to hit it. There's no problem there.
Yeah.
I think these guys.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You go ahead.
I think these guys should receive a suspension of a year. Alex
Absolutely.
Rodriguez, when he had the doping scandal in 2012, I believe, or 2013, when he had the doping scandal, he got suspended for basically a year and a half of baseball.
Yeah.
And he appealed it, so it only got down to a year. But he had to sit, and that's exactly what should happen. Because if you cheat to the extent that these guys do, and this is worse than steroids.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, the argument's there because, like you said, when a guy has steroids, he's still got to hit the pitch. These guys know what pitch is coming, so they can. It's way easier to hit the ball. But steroid guys, you still gotta have the baseball mind. Like, you could throw a guy who's never played baseball in his life out in the box, and if he's not jacked up on steroids, he's still gotta hit the ball. And if he's never played baseball, he's never hit the ball. But if you tell him what kind of pitch he's going to get, he's way more likely to hit the ball. He knows where the ball is going to go.
Exactly. And the thing is, like, when pitchers are throwing pitches, like, for example, if you're calling out, oh, it's a breaking balls, or like, which are obviously pitches that are straight, so they're not fastballs. They don't end up in the zone, so you kind of, that gives you an advantage. It's going to be a ball. You kind of don't have to go out of your way to swing or stay alive because it's just not going to be there.
Yeah.
This is like, to me, it's crazy. Like, I don't want to see anything like this again. Like, I watch the World Series. Like, that's something that I watch year round. Like, I know baseball is boring to a lot of people, but the World Series and usually the MLB playoffs is something that, like, I'm like, yeah, let me tune in for this and see what's going on. Because not a lot of teams make them, like, and it's very hard to win. But
Yeah.
the fact that these guys are going above and beyond to do this, Altuve's won MVP. Bregman was in the conversation for for MVP this year, and basically his road home splits were like crazy as well. So I don't know what the step is or what the next you know what the next thing of the MLB will do, but I'm pretty sure like something will come out again and again and again, and players just like especially if you've lost to these guys, like man, if I lost to the Houston Astros, I'd be cheesed. I'd be like,
Well,
especially if
if
it's
I'm
a
the
close
Dodgers, I'm
series.
absolutely livid because
If it's a if,
it,
no,
the
I agree.
the
The
Dodgers
Dodgers lost twice.
the two opportunities they've lost to cheaters, and now we'll never know if they could have won that series truthfully. And I think that what the MLB should do is strip the teams. That's the only way you're going to learn. If you're banned for a year, you'll come back. You'll do it again, but you'll be more careful. But when it comes, you get stripped of the honor that you achieved through cheating. That is when a change is going to happen. Like let's look at Pete Rose. Pete Rose gambled on his own team winning a game to make more money. Obviously, breach of the rules. Pete Rose is banned from the MLB for life. Cannot coach anymore. What he did that broke the rules was completely irrelevant to what happened in the game. He bet on his own team. It's not like he bet against his own team. He bet on his own team to win the game. Because, well, from what he said, because he believed in his team so much. Obviously, you can't do that. Banned for life. These guys on the Astros have legitimately altered the outcome of the game in their favor. And there's no bans
I,
yet. And
I agree.
and I'd be surprised if they were stripped of the World Series. That would surprise me, but that is what needs to happen.
They do need to strip it. They won't strip it, which sucks.
Yeah,
But the thing with the MLB is like they already have viewership problems. Do you understand that? Like when it comes to the four major sports, they're I believe they're
it's a
number three,
dying
number
league.
four within the show.
It's a
It
dying
is.
league.
It's boring. It's slow. A lot of people don't go out and watch it. They don't sell out many games. It's not like NBA games or NHL games where they're all sold out. Minus stadiums are bigger, but
Yeah.
even NFL games, like most NFL games, are sold out.
Oh yeah.
It's not like that in the MLB. They don't have the viewership through the TV. So for them to take a team like the Houston Astros, who are very exciting, they have very good pieces, they're very young, and to suspend those players, they probably think that we're basically punishing ourselves. It's the right thing that needs to happen, but they probably believe like, hey, if we take Houston out of it, Houston wins their division every year. Houston goes on these deep playoff runs, mind you, if they're cheating or not. They have all these really good players, really good pitchers. If we, kind of like are like, all you guys suspend it and they're a bad team, and they don't get any, top line prospects, they suffer for a year. Like the MLB will make a lot less money if the Houston Astros are bad and don't have these players.
That's just a good point.
And that's exactly why I don't think that they will hand out any serious suspensions, just because the revenue that they are going to lose out on, I don't think will be worth it to prove a point, because they're not right. They're not getting rid of any championships, right? Like it's not going to happen. They're not going to be like, oh, the Houston Astros are not the World Series championship, even though that's what they should do.
Yeah,
they're just gonna they'd punish themselves by being like, Jose Altuve, you can't play this year. Alex Bregman, you can't. Like those are two MVP caliber players. Unfortunately, whether they cheated or not, which they did.
Yeah.
But like they, you know what I mean? Like it's just those are players that are gonna be in the All-Star game. Those it's just they'd really be punishing themselves. And the thing is I'm like, who's using the buzzer on Houston, right? Like we named 6 players that we think may have benefited from using a buzzer. So are you?
Well, I think a lot of them benefited from the garbage can, but the buzzer so far.
Every player.
Yeah, so far from the buzzer, we got Altuve and Beltran, who we think. I mean, Altuve is. It's pretty fucking set that we know he hit the buzzer.
Yeah, no. Altuve, you can see it 100%.
And the walk-off home run is just absolutely awful to look at. Beltran, I mean, if that girl is telling the truth, who claims to be his niece, then we got Beltran as well. We've seen it's pretty concrete evidence. It's just nothing quite definitive. That 100% can show us that they've done it. Like there are players on the Astros or who were on the Astros who have said like, yeah, we cheated.
Yeah,
Players who were on that team.
Mike Fiers was the one that actually got this whole thing going, and I believe the girl's name was Jessica Lawrence, but she went on TV the other day, and she basically was like, "You should never rat out your teammates. You should have gone privately and done whatever." She's like, "You benefited from it, and this and that." But I'm very happy that he did do this. Like he's like, yeah, like we did cheat. He probably did it for some petty reason. Like I don't think he did it out of the goodness of his heart. He's like, oh, like we cheated. I think it was more he didn't get a contract or whatever of 1,000 reasons it may be. But I don't think it was all we were just bad guys. And I think everyone should know about this.
Mm-hmm.
But if he didn't say what he said, all of this would not have happened. You wouldn't have had the firings. Houston would have gone into next season doing the exact same shit. And we wouldn't really know. Like you just think like they're a powerhouse team. Like you'd be like, oh, like all their batters are extremely poised, like they're really good players. I look forward to seeing what kind of is done. I think that there should be more punishments. I don't think the MLB does it. I don't think they can afford to have the Houston Astros star players not play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you think? What do you think is like a real situation that they should be doing?
I honestly, like, look, I think this is good publicity for the MLB in general. I can't see this being bad for MLB's ratings going into next season. This is monumental. This is almost on like Black Sox level of a baseball scandal. It is sending shockwaves throughout the entire sporting world. And if you don't know about the Black Sox, it was 1919 World Series. Some guys on the Chicago White Sox who thought they should be getting more money bet against themselves, basically through the World Series, and made a ton of money betting against themselves. And that is something that has shaped the outcome of a game. This is another example of cheating that has significantly benefited your own team. And it has drastically shaped the outcome of the game. Like you look, like the Clayton Kershaw stats from the World Series are some of the most alarming that I've seen about this scandal. Because we know Kershaw's not great in the World Series, but he's not great. Sorry, he's not great in the playoffs at all. But when he played at Dodger Stadium in the 2017 World Series, .82 ERA, 15 strikeouts. When he played at Minute Maid Park, 6.50 ERA, only 2 strikeouts.
Yeah, they knew every pitch that was coming from him, and like I think they man, the thing is that they probably could have beaten Clayton Kershaw regardless, just because of how he's performed.
Well,
recently.
but when he played, when he played at home, he was so good in that series.
He absolutely was, and that was a season, 2017, where Clayton Kershaw kind of turned around the whole thing about him being bad and not winning games in the playoffs, because he obviously beat the World Series Cubs before, but it's a tough situation, and I like the Dodgers, and I really like the Houston Astros, obviously because they lost 100 games like 4 seasons in a row earlier this decade, and then to being a powerhouse and a projected dynasty type of team. But I think that's the huge reason why Garrett Cole may have left. Like Garrett Cole was on a team that was 1 game away from winning a championship, and the minute that he was out of a contract, he never said, "Oh, I'm going to be back in Houston." He just said, "I'm a free agent now. I don't have to answer to anyone." And then the next thing you know, who does he sign with? He signs with their arguably biggest rival, the Yankees.
Yeah, and that's a good take. I mean, it's also Garrett Cole's also a Yankees fan, so
no, it's the Yankees fan and the money. But I mean, would you not on paper? I would rather play for Houston than play for the Yankees. I mean, I think Houston would be a better team than the Yankees. They're younger, they're quicker. would prefer to play on the Houston Astros.
I can see where you're coming from with this take. I can see where you're coming from with this take for sure. It's just tough to look at a guy like Garrett Cole, who was such a big Yankees fan. That
no, it is, but
no, I can reasonably see what the point you're trying. I can see the point you're trying to make. You could be right with that point.
It'd be very tough for me to understand why you would why you would leave. Yeah, I wouldn't understand why he would leave and he didn't say anything. Like it wasn't a situation where he was kind of talking. He's like,
he was pretty set on leaving. That's a good point. Okay.
But yeah.
I think just to round this one off, I think the MLB should strip the Astros of the World Series. I think any player found involved should be banned for a year. I don't think the MLB has the guts to do that, but if you want change, that's the only way you're going to do it. What's your final take on this?
I agree. I think if I was the MLB and I want to really pound down to make sure these guys know not to do it again, I would strip that title. Cora, Beltran, Hinch, all lifetime bans. You're never coaching the MLB again. I think that's what, especially because they're coaches, I think that's something you can easily do.
Yeah.
Is lifetime bans. And then Altuve and Bregman and whoever you see really benefited, they have to get suspended for at least a year. At least a year.
Yeah. It's got to be your suspension for the players.
But yeah, that's where I would draw the line. To me, the $5 million in the draft picks for a team that's going to be really good regardless don't really mean too much, especially in baseball where draft picks in baseball they mean the least compared to any other sport.
Yeah, I agree.
You can just find gems every round. It doesn't matter. But,
and it doesn't, drafting high doesn't necessarily mean that player is going to turn out to be a good player either.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, we'll end it there. Thank you to Sean for being on this episode. For the first Skype episode, I hope it sounds okay. We'll see after we're finished recording. But thank you, Sean, for being on it. Hopefully we can do this more in the future. In the meantime, merch has dropped. If you want to grab your merch, you can check out the links in the description. There's stickers, water bottles, clocks, mugs, a whole bunch of stuff. Go check out the merch. Follow us on Twitter at AmateurPDC. Same with Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow on Spotify. And we post every single day. So keep coming back to the daily content. We'll see you again tomorrow.